One more minute. It's now 6 o'clock. I'll give a couple more people to try to get in.
What was that message that says this meeting is being recorded? So are we already live?
I'm recording it now in reference to my computer, on my computer.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I think we need to get started because I know this has been a very busy day for everybody. And one more minute, it's now 6 o'clock. I'm trying to see how can I stop that. That's what happens when you're out of your lane. I shouldn't be doing this.
That's why I worry about a hot mic.
That's why we have Marcy.
What was that message that says it?
Yeah, if you mute your Facebook stream, it'll work okay. And I can copy the link and post that. We had
Okay.
shared that with people so they could listen in if they wanted to. So we'll share that across our channels right now to let people know where to go.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, it is 6:02. And I want to welcome everybody to the first Stonecrest SPLOST Advisory Committee meeting for 2021, August 11th. And I want to thank you. We are recording this. And first of all, let me just welcome everybody. Let me start by welcoming our Mayor Pro Tem to our meeting, Mr. Tom Udell, our engineer. I'm trying to see Ms. Janice Allen, who is I'm about to let her in. She's not in yet. Ms. Janice Allen, our City Manager, Ms. Tammy Grimes, our councilwoman, who is also a member. I think I saw Mr. Nichols, yeah, Mr. James Nichols' name. So I'd like to welcome him also. So thank you for staff and also council people being present this evening. As I call the meeting to order, I'd like to do a roll call to see what members are available to ensure that we have a quorum for this evening. As I call your name, please state whether that you're here. Councilwoman Grimes.
Here.
Good. Member Darrell Taylor. Mr. Taylor, can you hear me?
Here.
Good, okay. Mr. Elijah Ajay.
Here.
Member Donna Priest Brown.
Present.
Is Member Jeff Martin available? Member Bernard Louis. And Chairman Rob Turner. So we have we have a quorum. So the next thing on the agenda is our invocation. So if you would, let us have a word of prayer. Oh, most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank and bless you for allowing us to see another day and to operate in the purpose and destiny you created us for. Before we move forward with the business of this committee, we want to just ask you to be in control this evening and that you will guide us by your wisdom and precious Holy Spirit. We lay down the foundation of your word as we develop and operate as the Stonecrest SPLOST Advisory Committee. Bless every member for their willingness to serve your people and to do what is just, right, and pleasing in your sight. Bless this time we have together as we honor you and the citizens of Stonecrest. In your precious son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now, I'm going to share my screen. I don't think any of you all can see my screen. I'm going to share it so you can see our agenda. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Good, okay. This is our agenda for the evening. I want you to look over the agenda, and once you finish, then I would like for us to vote to approve the agenda for the evening. If there's any changes or additions or things we need to make, this is the time to do so. Okay. The floor is now open for a motion to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Chairman Turner, I move that we accept the agenda for the SPLOST Advisory Committee as presented.
Thank you, Councilwoman Grimes. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's second. I'm sorry.
Okay, and who gave the second?
Elijah Ajay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jai. The motion has been moved and properly second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor will signify by saying aye, and all opposed will signify by saying nay. Councilwoman Grimes.
Aye.
Member Darrell Taylor.
Aye.
Member Elijah Ajayi,
Aye.
Member Donna Priest Brown,
Aye.
and Chairman Rob Turner is also aye. So the motion passed and the agenda is approved for this evening. Next, I'd like to introduce these members that have volunteered their services, talent, and time to help us establish this committee. So I'm going to start with Mr. Darrell Taylor. Mr. Taylor, could you introduce yourself in just a brief synopsis about you?
My name is Darrell Taylor. One correction, it's spelled wrong, but I'll take it. It's Darrell.
Okay,
I'm Darrell Taylor. I've been in DeKalb County for about 30 years now. Very familiar with Stonecrest. Looking forward to working on the SPLOST Committee. I'll leave it at that.
thank you, and I apologize for that name, and I'll correct it from this point on. This is the last time you see it spelled that way, all right?
It's okay.
All right. Next person I'd like to introduce to you would be Mr. Elijah Ajayi. Mr. Ajayi, if you would, please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Elijah Ajayi, resident of Stonecrest for the last 5 years, DeKalb County, 10 years. I look forward to contributing to the community and to the committee.
Thank you. Okay. Now, Ms. Donna Priest Brown, if you would, Mrs. Brown.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Priest Brown, a resident of South DeKalb, Stonecrest, Lithonia for the past 25 years. Recent retiree from AT&T for 26 years. And I am also looking forward to working with this committee. Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate that. Our councilwoman and birthday girl, Councilwoman Grimes, if you would just say something to the committee and to the public.
Hello, everybody. I am Tammy Grimes, represent District 5 in Stonecrest, and looking forward to having great conversations and moving the city forward with our SPLOST committee.
Great. And Mr. Tom Udell, you are ex officio as I think appointed by our city manager. If you would, could you just say something to us? Hello and your title?
Yes, good evening. My name's Tom Udell. I'm the city engineer. I work for Jacobs. I've been in municipal services with Jacobs since 2007. Before that, I did some work in Stonecrest, doing traffic impact studies. I'm aware of the area, familiar with it. I think it's a beautiful city with a lot of both industry and outdoor opportunities, and looking forward to improving it.
Fantastic, thank you. And I'm Rob Turner, your chairman. I'm councilman for District 2 for the city of Stonecrest, and so happy to be appointed by our Mayor Pro Tem and be a part of this great committee. Before we go on to the elections, though, I would like to just add, if our Mayor Pro Tem and our city manager would like to say something before we move into the elections of our officers.
Allow me again to echo a lot of what you've already said. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for volunteering to serve on the SPLOST committee. I think some of you may have been drafted, but that's okay too. We know where to find great talent. And I'm not going to go into all the details at this time. I think Councilman Turner will do that. But SPLOST has been with us a little over, well, roughly 3 years now. We only have about another 3+ years to go. And we need to really take as to where we are in terms of achieving what we set out to achieve.
So Jim is now.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think someone's mic is open. Could you mute your mic if you're not speaking, please? Okay, I think we're good to go on.
Okay, but again, to take a look at what we committed to do with the SPLOST fund, and this will be an oversight committee, basically a watchdog. Are we doing what we committed to do? Do we need to change what we committed to do? And who shall make that decision? I think that will come from the citizens of Stonecrest, and that's what you represent. You represent a sampling of Stonecrest, and you can't tell City Council what to do, and City Council can't run off and do whatever they want to do without your input, but it shall be a collaborative effort. And we need input from the citizen and as advisors as to how well you think we're doing. And if you think we need to change direction, we are open to hear from you. And that's why it is so important that we put these committees together and you report to City Council on a regular basis as to how you feel about our performance with your SPLOST dollars. These are your dollars. They're not our dollars. They belong to the citizens of Stonecrest. And we have to also keep in mind that other dollars are coming to this area. And the reason it is so important that we be mindful of that is that we're going to be in competition in terms of getting contractors to perform work for the city, because they will be in great demand over the next several years now that this federal bill has passed in terms of finding someone to do what needs to be done. So we need to make sure that we know what we want, get it on the table, and get it on the table in a hurry, and follow up on it and make sure it gets done. So again, I thank you for your service, and we look forward to great things coming from you in terms of being an advisory committee.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate that. Ms. Jackson, if you would, please.
Yes, just want to say good evening to everybody and thank you for Councilman Turner pulling all of this together for us. I've been on board now with Stonecrest for 4 months, and it is apparent that our council is very serious about getting public participation and input in the decisions that they make. So we are very happy to have all of the members with us and your willingness to serve. And we as staff look forward to helping you understand a little bit more about how your dollars are utilized and learning more about what you perceive to be the most important needs of your community.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. Now we're going to go into building the foundation of the infrastructure of this great committee. We're going to begin with the election of officers. The first one will be a vice chairman or vice chairwoman. And the floor is now open for a motion for nominations for the position of vice chairwoman. Ma'am. Do I have any nominations?
This is Donna Priest Brown. I nominate Elijah.
All right.
Vice Chair. Elijah.
Okay, Mr. Elijah Ajay, okay. Are there any other nominations? Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for this position, vice chair? All right. Seems like there are none. Then the motion has been moved. So the motion has been made. It's been properly seconded that Mr. Elijah Ajay has been nominated to be our vice chair for the Stonecrest Advisory Committee. Are there any discussion about this? Okay, if not, then you will signify in favor by saying aye, or if you do oppose, you will signify by saying nay. Councilwoman Grimes.
Aye.
Member Darrell Taylor.
Aye.
Member Elijah Ajay.
Aye.
Member Donna Priest Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Rob Turner is also aye. So congratulations, Mr. Ajay, welcome, and thank you for being my right hand. I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate you accepting the position of vice chair. Now, the next position is very, very important also, and that is the position of secretary. Now, are there any motions for that position? Any nominations for the secretary for this committee?
Yes. My name is Darrell Taylor, and I nominate Ms. Donna Priest Brown.
I was like, does it have to be a female? Does it have to be a female?
Well, just think about it. Let's think about it on the national level. Most of the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense are not female, so it's okay to be a so it's okay. So
Second.
Okay, so okay, are there any other nominations other than Mrs. Priest Brown? Okay, well, the motion has been made and been properly seconded that Ms. Donna Priest Brown is been nominated for secretary for the SPLOST Advisory Committee. Are there any discussion? If not, all in favor, those are in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed will signify by saying nay. Councilwoman Grimes.
Aye.
Member Darrell Taylor.
Aye.
Member Elijah Ajay.
Aye.
Member Donna Priest Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Rob Turner is also aye. Thank you, Ms. Priest Brown, for accepting that very, very important position. You are the link to the community with us. So you will be communicating in reference to minutes and everything else that we need to do. So thank you for that. And if we can assist in any way to help your job better, that's why we're here. The final position or final officer we're going to be looking at is parliamentarian. And this is a very important position to ensure that we are moving by the orders that align with the Robert Rules of Order that we've put in place to establish this committee. So now the nominations are open now for a parliamentarian for the Stonecrest Advisory Committee. Are there any candidates to be nominated?
Can I ask a question? This is Donna. Is Whitney Paddock one of the committee members?
He is, I think, he's an intern with the city, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, okay.
So I guess
And
the other question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying this, there are several members missing, about 3 members missing, but still, if there's someone here who would like that position and is nominated and, voted in, we're more than happy to help you. Or do we need to defer this later if no one is interested in this position?
Well, I'd like to make a recommendation for Mr. Darrell Taylor to be our parliamentarian.
Okay. Mr. Taylor has been nominated to be our parliamentarian. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Are there any other candidates for the position? Okay. All right. Well, the motion has been moved and properly second that Mr. Darrell Taylor is now being nominated for the parliamentarian for the Stonecrest Advisory Committee. Is there any discussion on this? All right. If not, all in favor will signify by saying aye. All opposed will signify by saying nay. Councilwoman Grimes.
Aye.
Member Darrell Taylor.
Aye.
Member Elijah Ajay.
Aye.
Member Donna Priest Brown.
Aye.
Chairman Rob Turner also says aye. Thank you, guys. Thank you and welcome to the board. I'm so happy to have you here. And again, I know we're going to do some great things together, and thank you for offering your service. Next on our agenda is just a little, I guess, a little animation here. It's not really moving, but it's a still animation of how the COGS work in reference to the SPLOST Committee. I think Mayor Pro Tem gave a great example of it in reference to how we work together, because it is a collaborative effort with City Hall staff as well as City Council. And we're kind of in the middle, moving to ensure that all the information is dispersed and also to the public. So there's budget that we're involved in, policy projects, and the vendors that we'll be talking about and working with. So all those things are components in reference to the COG that we use as the SPLOST Advisory Committee, and moving forth in collaboration with that in the city. Are there any questions in reference to that? Yeah, I guess that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay. Now, the role of the SPLOST Advisory Committee, we need to know what we are created for to ensure that we are fulfilling that responsibility. As you can see, it's to review collections and expenditures of revenue generated by SPLOST, to ensure the appropriate procedures are, 1, in place, and 2, being followed by selected vendors, and to provide as necessary the appropriate advice, reviews, reports, and recommendations on spending. I think Mayor Pro Tem said, we're not going to tell City Council what to do, but we can make some recommendations on how to spend the money, the budgets, the projects to the council and all SPLOST projects. Next is to provide transparency and accountability to the citizens of the city of Stonecrest from SPLOST 1, which we're in the process now of utilizing. To ensure the funds from SPLOST are well managed and used efficiently, and to ensure SPLOST projects are equitable, appropriately prioritized, and well distributed throughout the city. Are there any questions, anything need to be added to that? Or anybody want to expound on any of these points? Okay, I think we got that 9 o'clock church crowd here today. Okay, good. All right, well, we'll move on. This is good. Now, the overview of our SPLOST Advisory Committee. And this is very important because this is in line with our resolution that has been established, and to ensure that we're also moving along with the charter that's in place for the city. All meetings are open to the public. A majority of members of SPLOST Advisory Committee constitutes a quorum, and we have a majority here this evening. Myself and Councilwoman Grimes, we are voting members. Because Mr. Udell is an ex officio member, he is not a voting member. City manager or her designee is an ex officio, which is Mr. Udell. As I just said a few moments ago, is a non-voting member. The SPLOST Advisory Committee shall elect a vice chairman, secretary, and parliamentarian, which we just did. Minutes will be kept of each meeting. The SPLOST Advisory Committee will use Robert's Rules of Order. That's information for our parliamentarian. The SPLOST Advisory Committee shall be a regular scheduled meeting, and meetings shall be publicized just like the city council meeting. So it will go into our legal organ. It will also go out 24 hours before we have our meetings to ensure that the public has the knowledge and information that they need that the meeting is being held. The meeting agenda will be available to advisory committee members 7 days in advance of meetings. So I will get with everybody prior to those 7 days to ensure that you have all the information you need in case you need some changes, or to talk to some people in the staff, or to talk to council members or whatever, to ensure that we have everything in place for the agenda for our next meeting and each meeting from that point on. Passage of a motion requires, of course, a majority vote, and the floor will be open to public comments. Any action of the SPLOST Advisory Committee shall not be binding upon the city of Stonecrest. Any comments, concerns, or additions to this? What I'm going to do, and I don't know if I did this before, I'm going to send a copy of this PowerPoint to each member of the committee. Did I send that to you guys? I know I sent the resolution and different other things. Did I send you a copy of the PowerPoint?
Of this meeting, I don't.
I'll send it to you right after the meeting is over. I'll send it to you, so you'll have that for you.
Thank you.
I have some figures here, some SPLOST figures here that I wanted, and I had asked our city manager to, and have either our finance director, Ms. Scruggs, or Mr. Udell to come and talk to us a little bit about these numbers. Who's available to share that information with us, Ms. Jackson?
You know, both Mr. Udell and Ms. Scruggs are available.
Oh, good.
Both of them are on the call. I don't know if you saw Gia down there. She's on the call as well. So
good. Glad to have Ms. Scruggs here. Thank you.
Yeah. So either one of them can address that. Tom, do you feel comfortable getting started, or do you feel like you need to punt to the finance director?
I get hives when I see a dollar sign. So I think we go to the finance director. I'm a little more comfortable with, nuts and bolts of the types of projects and things like that.
That's great. I'll take the punt and run with it. And I'll definitely punt it back when we get to pavement and parks. So what you're looking at here is a year-to-date revenue report that's generated out of our general ledger. And what you have here is from January to June. So if you're looking at that first line, it says the budget appropriation, that's 6.98 million. That is the revenue that the city anticipates receiving from SPLOST. What we have received year to date is the third line from the right is the $3.4 million. So we're right at 50%. So we have what this is saying to you as a committee member, and also from a citizen standpoint, is we estimated pretty good or pretty close as to where we would be at this time of the year. We have started all of the projects that were on the project list for 2021. I will let Tom go through that project list, but we have started all of the projects. And at this time, the only expenditures that we have would be some small dollar amounts from our transportation management, SPLOST management. So there are some small dollar figures there. One thing that I do want to point out is that as of earlier today, probably about 3 or 4 o'clock today, if you go to the city's website and click on SPLOST, we have now updated all of the financials from January through July of 2021. And It will be very similar to what you have seen in the past. And you can also look at the line item detail, which will be the second sheet of each one of the details. So essentially the items that you see here it carries over to the reports, the monthly reports that you'll see listed on the website. Let's see, what else can I say about this? The interest that is earned, the city has a separate fund and a separate bank account that SPLOST funds sit in. And each month or each quarter, there is interest from that money that is sitting there. So that 20 year to date, we budgeted about 2,800, and right now we're looking at about 1,500 received so far. So that's the other thing that this would show. Councilman Turner, is there another slide that still has additional financial information that you would like for me to go over?
Yes, sir, it is. It's our next slide. Let me get it for you.
Okay. And this is probably still revenue. The SPLOST, one of the things that I do want to mention is the other sources of revenue or other financing sources, that 497,000, that is from LMIG, another source of income from the Department of Transportation. So that is separate from our SPLOST funding. And so if you look, the total budgeted amount that we have is the 7.4, and to date, we're right about 3.4. And we have not received the LMIG funding as of yet.
Now, Ms. Scruggs, I see that this is July 2021. So we'll be getting monthly reports on the SPLOST monies?
Yes, sir. That is what I was mentioning before. If what's going to be actually reported on the website is a summary of the transactions for that month. You'll see expense, you'll also see revenue.
Great. Okay, fantastic. Anyone has any questions about those two slides that we just presented?
Yes. Hey, this is Daryl Taylor. Just a quick question. I know it shows the summary through July, but is there an itemized copy that shows each month year to date?
Yes, it is. And that is also now on our website. So I'm glad we got that updated today. It's actually on our website, and it has the transaction detail from the ledger.
Thank you.
You're making our job so very easy. Thank you. I appreciate you for that. That's great. Any
Mr.
other
Chairman,
questions? Yes, ma'am.
yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
To point out again, this is so important that as a committee, you keep these issues in front of us, because I had the question before, and I'm glad to see it pop up again. You mentioned LMEG, and LMEG, is that a separate account, or is that counted in with the SPLOST funds?
It comes as a separate check. It is not a part of the SPLOST funding.
But in terms of accounting for it, you don't commingle it with SPLOST?
No, we have it as a separate line item. We are aware of the source of funding.
Mighty fine. So nothing is commingled with SPLOST. SPLOST is totally by itself.
Correct. And thank you for asking that question in that manner.
Okay.
Clarification.
So that means that line item, I guess that account 390, right?
Yes.
That is non-SPLOST.
It is non-SPLOST. Let me see how I can say that, because it does roll up, because it's
because it doesn't categorize, it doesn't, what you mentioned, the name, L, whatever you just said, is, I don't see it here, but I guess that it's equate, that 390 is.
Yes.
Okay.
And for Ms. Brown's benefit, that fund comes from the state, does it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and when it comes in, we are to match it from city funds, but we have been using SPLOST city funds to match that fund. But in reality, we've gone well beyond the 50-50 match and been able to get some projects done.
And do we have a list of accounts? I guess we would have a list of accounts that's associated with the SPLOST. You guys would have a list of accounts?
When you say a list of accounts, they are in addition to what you see here?
Right. Do we have like a list, like a short cheat sheet saying what all of the accounts are associated with SPLOST?
This is the most detailed that we have when you're saying accounts, because this is our chart of accounts, how we separate the different funds. So unless you're asking me for something specific, I don't think we have anything else that would break it down further, aside from just the transactions that actually occurred on the expense side. And then you will see, if I believe, Councilman Turner, do you have the expense report as well?
I do have that report. I think it's on my my desktop. Do you have it available? Because I think you sent me several reports, and I didn't want to overwhelm everybody for this first meeting in reference to all that information. I wanted to get these two things, that the summaries of the most recent things that I've been doing, but I believe I have that. You sent that to me, am I correct?
Yes, let's keep it at a more higher level, but what I believe, Ms. Priest Brown, what you're asking for is, do we have it broken out, SPLOST, and then like public works, parks, transportation? We do have it broken out like that on the expenditure side.
Okay. Thank you.
Also for facilities and facilities and buildings, you can see it broken out by line item.
And that's also on the website, Ms. Scruggs?
I believe it is, but it may not have that detail.
Okay.
But the expense report that I gave you, it absolutely has it on there.
I believe I forwarded that expense report to each member.
If not, I can make sure that I get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or concerns for Ms. Scruggs or Ms. Jackson, Mayor Pro Tem, or either Mr. Udell concerning these numbers or the SPLOST?
Mr. Chairman, if I guess if I may, a quick, simple explanation is because the county manages, they're still providing public work services to the city.
Mhm.
All of the public works funds are coming out of the DeKalb County General Fund and so essentially the money that Stonecrest is paying into DeKalb County is holding that and using it to maintain the roads and do all of the work they do with public works. The LMAG comes in, and because Stonecrest is an individual municipality, the LMAG gets applied directly to the city. And because we don't have a public works department, so to speak, or like a general paving fund that the council has made, really the only place to put that state money, and that's a state share that every municipality and every county gets, that money goes in with the SPLOST. It's really the only place for it to go. Otherwise, it wouldn't have a home. So I know it's a little confusing because it's not the sales tax money coming in, but it's really the only other way we can handle the funds coming in because they're for essentially the same uses.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Udell, if you could give us the acronym the meaning of the acronym LMIG. I know it's local maintenance something grant, but could you just say it for everybody, please, the benefit of the group?
Yeah, it's the local, and it's either maintenance or match infrastructure grant. And the Georgia DOT gets money from the federal government. They get money from all of their transportation funds. And a part of that is allocated to local agencies. And rather than GDOT coming in and doing work on local agency roads, they take, it's a formula based on the population and the lane miles in that jurisdiction. And then they calculate out how much money each jurisdiction gets. And then that money comes directly to the city. It doesn't go through the county or it doesn't get filtered anyway, but it comes directly from the state to the jurisdiction.
Okay.
And let me add something to that. And that is that prior to SPLOST, that was pretty much all of the money we received to get road work done in this area.
Right.
So $500,000 worth of road work was what we could afford.
Okay.
So that's how SPLOST was a blessing.
Absolutely, it really was. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Scruggs, thank you so much for the presentation and sharing that information with us. And if we can help and assist in any of the things that you need, please let us know.
Thank you.
Rob, I think you just muted yourself, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I sure did. Okay, now we have pretty much three recommendations. I guess foundational recommendations we have at the beginning for this SPLOST Advisory Committee. The first is that all purchases, contracts, and other monetary spending related to SPLOST projects be done in accordance with federal and state laws and in accordance with the city's purchasing policy as approved by the city council. You know, we do have a purchasing policy. So everything we do now has to go through that and ensure that we are abiding by those guidelines and those laws. But that's, you know, that's pretty much self-explanatory, but that's very, very important that we work with that. There's no contracts outside of that. There's no things we can do other than those things that have already been approved by council and those things that have already been in accordance with the federal and state laws for Georgia and for the United States. So that's one of the advisory committee recommendations we have. The second one is the recommendation for the competitive bid process. We applied to the comprehensive transportation plan, and SPLOST program management, as well as all SPLOST related programs. Any questions about that? That's very important. We worked so long and so hard on this comprehensive plan, and it's very important that all things are done within the line and guidelines of that plan in reference to how we spend this SPLOST money, or how we recommend the council to spend it, or the direction they should go into with this. So this is a very, very important recommendation in reference to staying in alignment. That's one of the most important words we could possibly have for the SPLOST committee, is to be in line with those policies and procedures, with those protocols, with all those situations, with the things that we put in place, resolutions, all those things. We're in line with those things to ensure that the SPLOST money is spent and allocated the way it was intended to be for our city. Any comments or any statements about that? Now, these are just 3 that I have, and we'll talk a little bit more in a few moments about any others you may have. And finally, the city council. We want the city council to start a competitive bid process for SPLOST program management. We need somebody to manage our SPLOST program, somebody who has expertise that can ensure that all those things that we talk about need to be in place are in place, and that we can move forward with that and let the public know that we are spending that penny wisely and effectively and efficiently in every way. So we will be approaching the city council to see what we need to do to get a bid process, and also talking to Ms. Scruggs in reference to getting us a program management company in place for that. Any other comments, additions, or any other points made for those 3? And again, I'm going to send all this to you, so you'll have this to file. As a matter of fact, everybody on this this call today will have a copy of it. So those are foundational, the first 3 foundational recommendations we have that we'd like to submit to the council and to the staff, and move from that point on. Next, any additional recommendations? Now, this is the time that if you want to add something to that pot, or if you have any other ideas or things, because again, this is the infrastructure right now. This is the beginning where we're building upon this committee, and we really want to get everybody's input and everybody's involvement, because this is, as was said earlier, a collaborative effort in working with this. So any questions, any additions? If not, we can you can always send them to me, and I'll send them to Mrs. Priest Brown, and we can always discuss those things. And because we want to have something to present to the council soon in reference to moving on this SPLOST money. We've been pretty somewhat dormant in reference to having meetings and all, but we need to get the public informed and involved more with this, because we want to let them know that what we're doing is what we said we were going to do and what the money has been allocated for. So we want to ensure we keep the public informed. I know this word has been used over 1 million times and so overused, but that we are transparent in all that we do. Any questions or concerns that the public might have, we have answers for them. So if you have any additional recommendations, by all means, please let me know and we'll move on that. Any comments? Well, you know, I meant to start this meeting off in the beginning with a joke. I'm not a joke teller, but my wife is a joke teller in the family. But I thought since this is the beginning of this committee, I can start off with a joke. So I guess this is the perfect time as any. The joke is this. What did Elizabeth Taylor tell her first 7 husbands? I won't keep you long. Oh, my wife just said that's wrong. See, I tell you, I can't tell a joke. I can't tell a joke. I'll just send you written jokes, forget it. But you can at least laugh, Ms. Scruggs. I mean, just even if you didn't get it. And I know you didn't. All right, so we have one other point, and that's developing or finding out what future dates. We need to get some dates in place to organize future meetings. Here we are. So we have so many things coming and so many other committees and stuff. And I know everybody has to have lives outside of this committee. When can we establish some future dates? Are we looking at a monthly meeting? Are we looking at bi-monthly, bi-weekly? What are we looking at? I want to ensure that we have, we don't waste time, but that we be very proficient in the time we set out for these meetings. So how's everybody scheduled in reference to, okay, this is Wednesday. Is a Wednesday, first of all, a good day for you?
Wednesday evenings is good for me.
Wednesday
Yeah.
evening? Okay.
Good for Donna Priest Brown.
Okay. And is 6 good, or should we make it a little bit later? I know people are coming from work and different other things. What about a time?
Maybe 6:30.
6:30? Okay. And now, dates. And when I mean dates, this is August. Our next meeting should be in September. I think we should at least have monthly meetings, minimum, to share information because things are moving so rapidly, things are happening. And SPLOST is, and we're moving with the SPLOST money, and we need to keep the public abreast of those activities. So are we all for a monthly meeting?
I think
Yes.
to start out, Mr. Chairman, we do monthly until such time that the order of the business or the SPLOST details require us to do maybe more frequent. And I was just thinking that strategically how we could have the meeting maybe between the city council's work session and the city council's the city council meeting.
That
So
would be-
maybe like that third week
Okay,
of the month, I'm thinking, and if you say Wednesday, I don't know if that works for everyone, but I don't want to from the beginning kind of set up where it's a conflict with, you know, anything that some city council members may already have.
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm very concerned. So we have a few weeks to work with that because we're not going to have another meeting this month, I'm sure. So we can talk about it, and you can submit, you know, your ideas or thoughts in reference to that, and then we can also look at the calendar with our city manager to see that we're not conflicting with any other meetings, whether it's with council people or whether it's with other meetings with the city officials, and we can get that taken care of. So I'll be getting back with you on that. Please submit those dates to me, but we are looking at thus far Wednesdays at 6:30. We just need to find, I guess, the week to put that Wednesday and that 6:30 time. Okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think I might have missed the comment section. It probably, I was waiting for the right moment.
Okay.
But you did send out a PowerPoint it was a presentation from February of 2021.
Mhm.
And if everybody can make sure they take a look at it. I know you're drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot to take in. Honestly, I drive around the city and I see the condition of roads and I see sidewalks, and I'm kind of overwhelmed, and this is what I do for a living. So I think it's a good idea for everybody just to get real familiar with that. But if I can just add one more document, and I'm trying to make not give you War and Peace on your reading list, but the Transportation Master Plan was created by the city. And what that did was come up with a lot of recommendations by studying the city, the infrastructure in the city, and sort of created a roadmap, so to speak, for moving forward and getting the city up to a maintenance standard. And then the other is moving forward, improving roads, improving bikes and pedestrian access, intersection improvements. So I think between that PowerPoint, that'll give you a lot of information on the SPLOST, what we've done to date, and then also the Transportation Master Plan, what was envisioned for moving into the future. You're not bound necessarily by any of those. If you have better ideas, if you have some other things that you want to bring to the table, by all means do that as well. But I think just to get a real base, and it's, you know, I really appreciate, I know the chairman said he appreciated everybody getting into this. I appreciate it as well. And I understand that you don't understand everything that I know, and don't be expected to. I'll be here to answer any questions. If you have any issues, any questions on what does LMIG mean, we get used to our acronyms. So any way I can help, or anybody in the staff can help, that's what we're here for, to answer your questions, to make sure that you're making your decisions in the most informed and educated way.
You know, Mr. Yu, that's a perfect way for us to end our meeting. Thank you so much for mentioning that Transportation Master Plan. Absolutely. That's a very important document. It's almost like a Bible to us in
Don't
reference
go
to.
yet.
What you said? What you said?
Don't go yet.
Oh, okay.
Since you're working on your future dates, let me say that if I am in position to do so, I will be adding additional committees. You have 4 committees in place now, And I envision us adding a transportation and trails committee, and that'll give us at least 5 committees. And I don't want to overwhelm staff with the number of committees that they will be asked to support. So I want to stagger the report out and say each committee shall report to council at least quarterly, even if your report is that you have nothing to report, but I'll get you a standing schedule to report out to city council quarterly. Your minutes that you have should be posted within a reasonable amount of time, and I think that's in your bylaws. So we'll have that for everyone to follow up on as well. And one thing that I think you might have omitted, and that was public comments. I think at each one of your meetings, there should be a slot for public comments.
Okay, thank you for that.
And as we grow and maybe have more committees, we may well have to consider in the budget staff to support all of the committees that we're going to have, but that's a subject for the city manager to talk about that. But again, the formal report quarterly, and if you need to get on the city council agenda, you know how that process works. Just give us a call and we'll get you on whenever you feel you have something urgent to convey to council.
Thank you for sharing that, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate that. And we're also possibly looking at maybe not in-person meetings, maybe next month or whatever, after council moves into that direction. So this might be our last Zoom meeting right now. I'm not sure, but be aware that there might be some in-person meetings in reference to the committee. And
that might be room for another committee, a committee to talk to the state legislature to allow us to have certain meetings by way of Zoom. So we can expedite some things, but I understand the need to be transparent and abiding by the sunshine laws and so forth and so on.
Right.
But I think there may well be some circumstances where we can do it, provided we make some legislative adjustments.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'm sorry, go on.
This is Elijah. I did want to make one comment. In the resolution, I think it was section A, I think my last name was misspelled.
Okay, is it AJAYI? Is that the correct spelling?
That is correct.
Okay, we'll correct that.
Thank you.
Obviously, I did not want a spelling bee, as you could possibly tell now, right?
No worries.
Well, I just, any other comments? I'm just really excited about this. I'm glad the Mayor Pro Tem reconstituted this committee. I'm excited about what we're going to do and how we're going to work and how the city will see the work and the great things that we're doing as a community. And I'm so glad to have all you members available who are part of our community helping us strengthen this and do something great. So this evening, let me thank our Mayor Pro Tem, our city manager, Mr. Tom Udall, Ms. Scruggs. Am I missing any other staff people that was on here? Thank you, Marcy, for helping and put this together too. Any other council? I don't want to miss anybody. I want to thank our staff for all the diligent after 5 work you do in helping to make this thing a success, and all our committees, including our council meetings. Thank you for that. And of course, I want to thank all our committee members. Councilwoman Grimes, thank you for saying yes and working with me on this. And thank you, other committee members. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, Mr. Parliamentarian, and no, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice Chair, Madam Secretary, and Mr. Parliamentarian. Thank you so much for saying yes to these offices and moving forward to make things great. So do we have any other comments? If not, I make a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, Councilwoman Grimes, it's been moved in second. Aye or
Aye.
nay?
Aye.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Member Darrell Taylor,
Aye.
Member Elijah Ajay,
Aye.
Member Donna Priest Brown,
Aye.
and Chairman Robert Turner is also aye. Thank you all again. Have a wonderful evening. If you have any questions, concerns, give me a call anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Y'all
you
be
all.
safe. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Lenny. How do I